The Matrix has achieved massive cultural status for its groundbreaking special effects, but more importantly, the equally original story elements struck an emotional and intellectual nerve that carries on to this day. The message has not faded, but is being steadily reinforced so that the film is gaining more fans as time progresses. The reason for this is that the fast-changing technological, political and social landscapes of our world increasingly bear a striking resemblance to the paranoia and unreality of the world depicted in The Matrix. This is not to say that people actually believe their sensory reality to be a computer simulation. The parallels are of a more spiritual nature. The most quoted line from The Matrix is Morpheus' simplification of what The Matrix is, as explained to Neo early in the film.
It is the world that has been pulled over your eyes to blind you from the truth.
The reason this line is quoted so often is because since The Matrix was released, an unrelenting barrage of confusing news reports have also been unleashed in what is referred to as the War on Terror, only to be followed recently by the new fear-buster, global warming. People instinctively know that something is severely wrong in our world at the moment. Great fear was unleashed in the form of the 9/11 atrocities of 2001, which has over the years also morphed into the fear of an emerging police state and an increasing tendency toward barbaric military behaviour, as seen in the Guantanamo reports. In the meantime, our leaders are contradicting themselves by allowing millions of immigrants to flood into Western countries at a time when we would expect them to limit immigration as a protective measure against terrorism. And we also have the suspicious intelligence used to kickstart the invasion of Iraq. These are just a few of the world-changing events that are making millions of people ask questions about what our civilization is and what the agendas of our leaders are. This is where The Matrix strikes its emotional and spiritual nerve. Just like our main character Neo, 21st century citizens know deep down that lies are being told on a grand scale that manipulates not only individuals but entire nations. We don't know which news reports to believe or which politicians to trust. In the Matrix film, one of the first signs of something being wrong occurs while Neo is sleeping. Just before receiving his wake-up call over the internet, we see articles on his computer screen that label the character Morpheus as the world's #1 terrorist. Immediately here, The Matrix anticipates a trend that would emerge 2 years later. The 9/11 and anthrax attacks in the US spark an overreactive war on terror, in which certain politicians seize the opportunity to create a black and white labelling system to silence their critics, exemplified by George W. Bush's statement, "You're either with us or you're with the terrorists." Even the media term sleeper cells bears a sharp parallel in The Matrix. Morpheus talks frequently about most of the population being asleep and not yet ready to wake up. Once they do awaken, they become enemies of the Matrix and are hunted by police, SWAT teams and agents, with a blind and obedient public also at the oppressor's disposal. The parallels between The Matrix and the War on Terror are very strange indeed. Another conceptual parallel between The Matrix and the world of its audience is the increasing reliance upon complex information technology. The entire Matrix reality is basically a metaphor for cyberspace. The internet has steadily crept into every aspect of our lives to the point where some people spend more time plugged into the internet than they do in the real world. Psychologists have even diagnosed a new syndrome called internet addiction disorder. Even when we aren't spending time directly online, we are often hooked up to other electronic systems. Mobile phones, MP3 players, televisions, computer games, the list keeps growing. Only recently a computer gaming device was publicly released that is controlled by brainwaves alone. This increasing fusion between people and technology has spawned a growth in techno-paranoia. The threat of citizens becoming caught up in a complex digital web of false reality and invasive surveillance is played out in its most paranoid and extreme form in The Matrix. Recently, the British Ministry of Defence's Global Strategic Trends report proposed that within the next 30 years, people who spend long periods of time disconnected from electronic communication systems will be viewed with suspicion. It also hinted at the possible future use of brain implants. Despite being an official document, not only does this sound like a crazy conspiracy theory, but it parallels once again with the Matrix film. Neo is implanted with a bugging device during a surreal interrogation by Agent Smith, only to have it removed as he joins the revolution against the machine race. The surreal aspects of his interrogation even suggest a reference to drug-induced interrogations. A major concern of modern authorities is the social subgroup that we call hackers. In reality, these people upon detection are often employed by governments rather than being prosecuted, and thus in The Matrix, Neo himself is a hacker who Agent Smith tries and fails to recruit. The parallels just go on and on. Neo's training sessions for fighting back against the Matrix system involve skills and knowledge being directly streamed into his brain. This is paralleled by the modern individual's unprecedented ability to download and assimilate information on almost any subject through the internet, which is now being used by ordinary citizens on a massive scale for self-education and to fight for unsung social causes. Neo himself is awoken by messages he receives over the internet. So just what the hell are the Wachowski brothers trying to say with this crystal ball of a film? Their more recent film, V for Vendetta, offers an indication of their motivational framework. It depicted a future fascist police state, and its marketing campaign included slogans such as "Freedom Forever" and "People should not fear their governments, governments should fear their people." In The Matrix, the Wachowskis make less daring but very blatant police state references. Room 101, the number on Neo's apartment, is plucked straight from George Orwell's 1984. It is the torture chamber in which the novel's main character is brainwashed into submission. Neo spells the police state reference out while being interrogated.
You disappoint me. You can't scare me with this Gestapo crap. I know my rights.
The parallels between the 21st century that we now live in and the Matrix movie of 1999 extend into the philosophical and the emotional. As the public turn away from the mainstream media and begin doing their own internet-based research, the mountain of corporate lies that is being unveiled is so complex, deep and shocking that many people retreat into whatever escapist or hedonistic fantasies are available. Morpheus describes this with crystal clarity.
You have to understand, most of these people are not ready to be unplugged. And many of them are so inert, so hopelessly dependent on the system, that they will fight to protect it. Were you listening to me, Neo?